and welcome to the Habits and Home Show. I'm your host, Lisa Lazat, and I help busy moms bring order to their homes by downsizing and decluttering and ditching old habits in exchange for systems that bring peace and more enjoyment to their lives. If you're a mom trying to show the love of Jesus to your family, but the clutter in your home keeps you overwhelmed and frustrated, you have come to the right place. On this podcast, you will hear easy step-by-step tips to declutter and create systems so you can keep your home organized and finally walk in the peace God has promised you. Need some accountability? I've got you covered there too. Join the Accountability Club, a community of like-minded mamas decluttering and systemizing our homes together. Are you ready, friend? Let's get started. Hey friends, and welcome to the Habits and Home Show. I'm so glad you're tuning in today. And if you're at home, this is your gentle reminder to press play and make some progress. Whether that's folding some laundry, wiping down your kitchen counters, or picking up a few things off the floor. Sometimes just getting started is the hardest part, and having a voice in your ear helps keep the momentum going. Today, I'm excited to bring one of my coaching clients, Christina, on the show. She's going to share what her home looked like before we worked together, the changes she has made, and how she's creating rhythms that really work for her and her family. I know her story will encourage you. Hey, Christina, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. First of all, you have a unique situation. I want you to tell our listeners where you are tuning in from. Where do you live?
So I live in the UK. I'm originally from Iowa in the States, but my husband is British. I did a study abroad program and I met him when I was over here about 22 years ago. And I've kind of lived here ever since.
Oh, that is awesome. We have listeners from all over the world, and I work with clients from all over the world. This has been a really fun job to do because I've met people from different countries. Even though you are American, you're an expat, but you're living in a different country. And that is some of what we've had to work through is the culture there, the availability of maybe products, of, dropping things off at the thrift store, where to find things. So that's been quite interesting and, somewhat challenging at times, but it's been good to work together on those things. So to start us off, I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know you shared a little bit, but tell us who makes up your family, what are your kids' ages, what season of life that you're in, and what does a day usually look like in your life?
Okay, so I'm married to Phil, and we have 3 kids. We have William, who's 17. Oh, he's 18 now, just last week. Samuel, who's 15, and Elsie, who's 9. I work part-time at the hospital, not too far from our house, and Phil travels a lot for work. And we are in the stage of teenagers, teenage boys, but yet also Elsie's not a teenager yet, and she's a girl. She's different than our boys, so we're kind of learning, how things are different between boys and girls, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Life is busy. I can just say it's really busy at the moment.
Yes. And what your kids go to school outside of the home, is that correct?
Yeah, they actually are in 3 different schools. Over here in England, it's not like you get a district and everyone goes to the same school. We have a whole different system. So our oldest one goes to grammar school, our middle one goes to private school, and our youngest one just goes to the local primary school that's closest to us.
Yeah. So you're during the normal school year, you're doing the morning rush before school, you're doing after school pickup, maybe extracurricular activities. So would you say that you have like the normal everyday life? Kids are going to school, extracurricular activities, trying to figure out what to cook for dinner. Would you say all that's pretty typical?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have to have a meal plan in place because I don't have time to just sit down at 5 o'clock and figure out what I'm going to cook and then go buy the ingredients. So I
Exactly.
definitely have to plan ahead because we've got activities every single night. I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so I've got to know, I've got to put it in the crock pot before I leave work. So then we can get to where we need to get to and eat on time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of planning goes in.
Absolutely. I don't know how anyone survives off without a meal plan. I remember years of not making a meal plan, and I look back and I'm like, Lisa, what were you thinking? It was a habit that and a routine that I had to learn and put in place. So I love that you are doing that consistently, and it's almost like your secret weapon to survival. So,
Mhm.
when we got started, your situation was a little unique, a little bit different than most of my clients because you had some renovation that was about to take place in your home. But other than that, and you can describe that a little bit and what that looked like, can you take us back to what life looked like in your home before we got started coaching? Some of the quote unquote trouble areas that you had, your overall sense of how you felt in your home.
Well, I am a generally organized person, so somebody coming into my house wouldn't say, "Oh, you definitely need to hire a coach, a clutter coach to help you." But I felt like my house wasn't functioning as well or as efficiently as it could have been. So I often felt overwhelmed just with just all the life admin that I had to do. With the emails and the laundry and the planning and stuff for the kids and work and everything on top of taking care of the house. So I needed some systems. I needed to go through everything in my house, and I needed to evaluate what I had and how it was functioning and get rid of what I didn't need, and then we need to put systems in place. And I found Lisa and her podcasts, and I just started listening, and I was like, "This is the lady for me. I need her to help me." So I got in touch.
Yes. I wish I had a Lisa back in the day too. Instead of going completely by myself through this process and learning and taking notes and figuring out what works, I wish I had something like this to say, yeah, because I didn't have a mom. My mom had passed when I was 29, and for the 6 years before that, she was incapacitated in a nursing home. So I didn't really have a mom or an older lady mentor to come alongside of me and teach me how to not just breastfeed or make a bottle or feed my child or whatever, but to actually like, how do I get the laundry back in the drawer on a daily basis? I need somebody to break this down for me. So now that you've been through our coaching together, what are some of the biggest changes you have seen in your home, your habits, and even how you think about managing everything?
Well, we've tried to put in systems for lots of different things that have to get done throughout the day.
Would you say that your environment now supports you in a way where the routines that you need to complete on a daily basis happen a lot easier? Like we've reduced the resistance?
Yeah. So when we went through each room, one thing that you would say is, how do you want this room to function? What do you actually want to do in this room? And you would encourage me to store things where they were like as close to where they were going to be used as possible. And I found that really helpful because I always felt like we had our living room and one TV, and that was where we hung out. But I felt like with teenage kids, we needed somewhere else, but yet we didn't have the space. We had this sunroom that didn't have a TV in it, and it was used kind of for little kids playing, but we'd kind of grown out of that phase. So we sat there and said, well, what should we use this room for? And I kind of said, I'd like it to be a music room. And when we were doing our renovations, we had to move our TV from the living room into the other room. And then I found that people were happily hanging out in that room. So all of a sudden we gained this new space in our house, without having to move. We gained another room, and that was really great. So now we have a place for teenagers to hang out, and we also have our living room.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said, where we thought about how we wanted to use the space, what was the purpose of the space, and then we stored things in that space that were going to be used to serve that purpose. That's exactly what the goal is when we're going through this process. We want to reduce the resistance. We see the word habits. It's a bright, shiny, topic. It's something everybody wants, but it almost feels unattainable because we haven't gone through the first step of setting ourselves up to where there's a lot less resistance for us to actually complete the habit or the routine that is going to eventually become habit. So that's why I always take people through the steps, the process of first, let's set up your environment. Usually that is through a lot of decluttering and downsizing, because we have gone years of maximizing our capacity. It is like a cup. A cup can only hold so much water. And once you overflow the cup, it's beyond its capacity of what it can hold. Well, we as people we're very individual. Our capacity is limited. My capacity might be more than yours. Yours might be more than mine. But when we bring in things in our home, every single thing we bring in, we are saying, I'm going to manage that. I'm going to manage that. I'm going to manage that. And we're essentially filling our cup up to where it's now overflowing. We can know when our cup has overflown when overwhelm sets in. When we are feeling overwhelmed in our home, when we walk in the door and we immediately feel overwhelmed, we know that we have went beyond our capacity of what we are able to manage. So that first step is very crucial. It takes a long time. Decluttering, downsizing, making decisions, figuring out what the purpose of each space is. The second part is the part of critical thinking that you talked about in your response, is figuring out what the purpose is and then knowing what the steps are to fulfill that purpose. The environment is set up. Now we need to break down what that process actually looks like. So that's where the systems come in. The systems are a set of steps that we can easily repeat on a regular basis. And then the third part is maintaining. Okay, that comes in our routines, which hopefully then become habit. A habit is like no brainer. I don't have to think about it. It's almost like grabbing a tissue when you sneeze. That is habit. Little kids don't think to do that. What do? They wipe their boogies on their sleeves or their arms. But after a while, after we give them the tissue and say, here, this is what you need after you blow your nose, it becomes an ingrained habit. That is ultimately our goal in managing our homes. But we have to start at the basics. We have to downsize and start from square one of knowing how to manage a little bit of stuff before we can gradually graduate to managing a lot of stuff. Okay. So speaking of systems and routines, was there one routine or system that has really clicked for you and has made your home feel a little bit more manageable or peaceful?
I would say that the laundry system is probably the thing that I think of. Just doing one load of laundry every day, drying it, putting it away. Because what I used to do is just bring down all the laundry from every single bedroom on a Friday, do a whole bunch of loads, dry it all, have a big mound of laundry, and then we'd have to put it all away. And that on a Saturday was overwhelming. So now it's just amazing. Putting one load of laundry away, it goes really quick. It's really easy, and it doesn't feel like a massive chore. So that's been really good.
Yes. And I'm not sure if we talked through this, but it's fresh on my mind because inside the Accountability Club, we're decluttering kids' clothes. And anytime I cover a topic of clothes, I always reiterate a laundry system. And what I teach people is 3 steps, bare minimum 3. So I know my brain can only handle 3 bits of information at a time, 3 steps, 3 tasks, 3 whatever it is. So that's what I teach people. I call it my bare minimum 3 or BM3s. And so when I broke down the laundry system to just 3 steps, it was wash, dry, put away. there wasn't an opportunity. There's no place in there for me to add fold or hang or anything like that. It was just put away. So what one of my members asked the other day, she said, but we're really folding when we put away, right? And I was like, yes, we are. But if you just say, I'm wash, dry, put away, your clothes are likely to end up back in the drawers of your dressers and in your closets rather than you say, hey, I need to fold a load of laundry. Okay, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to put it away, not just to fold it. So I told them to start speaking this because what your brain will do, it will just start acting on whatever you are saying. So I took out the folding step and I just say, okay, wash, dry, put away. Yes, you are going to fold before you put away, but you're not telling yourself that. You're telling yourself, I'm going to put it away. So is that something that you have been telling yourself or yet, or is that something you should start telling yourself now?
Well, I think I probably need to tell myself that. I do tend to put it in a basket and then put the basket by the steps and then take the basket up the stairs, when the kids go to bed, and then put it away then. So
Yeah.
I don't do it immediately, but I try to do it the same day.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. If it's not done immediately, I wouldn't say that I pull every bit of laundry out of our dryer and I immediately put away. It's something else that I did. I don't know if we broke down your laundry system in this way. I know that there are options. There's lots of options, but something that has helped me and that one of the options that I share with people is giving every person their own laundry basket and only washing that one person's laundry and then taking that person's dry clothes back to their own room to put just their clothes away. That has helped so much rather than sitting on a couch, folding everybody's, a whole variety, different categories of clothing, and then me having to deliver it to each person's bedroom or calling them in and say, here's your laundry, here's your laundry. No, when my kids walk in the door after school, if it's their laundry day, I say, get your clothes, go put them away. They know where the clothes are. It's in the dryer. So they pull their clothes out, put it in the same laundry basket where their dirty clothes collected. It's just kind of like moved on, and then they take it right to their bed, dump it out, put it away, and then they have permission to watch TV after school or get on their devices. They do that once a week. So it really reduces my time that I have to do laundry. Is that something you're doing, or what does your laundry system look like at the moment?
I have William, our 18-year-old. He does his own laundry. So once a week he comes down and does 2 loads. It doesn't always get done in one day. It takes some prompting to get.
Yes. I still prompt.
Wash it to the dryer.
Yeah, we're still in the we do phase, the I do, we do, you do phase. We're still in the we do phase where it hadn't become habit. So I'm reminding constantly of the next step.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely the phase we're in. So yeah, and I did for a short period of time have Samuel start doing his laundry too, and then life got busy and I took over again. But I think this summer I'll get him back on track and have him start doing his own laundry. He did a good job. He'd get it done and put away in a day, and it worked really well.
Yes, and that's the goal, is you want to work your way out of a job.
Yeah.
During our time together, have you been surprised by anything, or have you felt something was especially helpful?
What I really enjoyed was just having this 1 hour with you every few weeks. We kind of did it once a month. That's kind of the schedule we're on now, where I just have this 1 hour to think about what the next area is going to be. And we kind of look at all the different areas in that room or space and break it down. And then we talk through the things that are in that area, because it's really easy to kind of carry all these things around in our head and just they're kind of a weight on our mind. And it just feels too big to ever get started. But when we break it down and we actually look at like, what are the things that we're actually holding on to? What's keeping us from getting started? It suddenly isn't such a big job. Yeah. And so we had one area in our bedroom, some clothes that I wasn't wearing anymore. And I was just storing them instead of dealing with them and getting rid of them. And in there was some biking clothes, some biking shorts and various things. And when we were talking about the different things to go through, you kind of said, well, are you like, do you need to keep these? Are you riding the bike? And I explained, well, I bought these when I bought my road bike about 12 years ago, saved up my money, and I went and bought this road bike, and my husband bought one as well. And we went biking together. We did a few long bike rides, and then I had a little accident on my bike, and I was scared to get back on. And I had a friend of a friend who had a bike accident, and she ended up dying. And it really just scared me and put me off, and I stopped biking, like road biking. I still would, go with the kids and things. So I had this bike sitting there that I could see out my kitchen window, and I wasn't riding it. And every time I saw it, I thought, I paid all that money and I'm not using it, and it's taking up my space, but I can't get rid of it because I've spent all this money on it. And you kind of said, is instead of looking at it that way, you said, is keeping it being a good steward of the bike? And I thought to myself, well, no. And then I thought, if I could get it in the hands of somebody who would really love it and would appreciate it and use it, I'd feel really good about that, and I could let it go. And so I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and this lady contacted me. She was a lady in her 60s, and she was a grandma, and she had a granddaughter that was 11 years old, and she wanted to get this bike so her granddaughter could go cycling with her. She came to my house, and we ended up like spending 45 minutes talking, and I just felt so happy. I felt so much joy with selling this bike to her. I felt like I forgot about the money, but it was like, this is going to bring so much joy to that family. And now it's a weight off my shoulders. I don't look at it and feel guilty that I'm not riding it. I now feel happiness when I think about the bike, because I think of how many memories they're making and how much it's, enhancing their relationship together. So yeah, it was just nice to have that space to process those kinds of things that we, like I said, that we carry around in our head and can feel quite heavy, but we don't necessarily ever have the chance to talk about it and vocalize what it is that's feeling heavy. So
what a beautiful story. I mean, like, I'm emotional because of that, because I just think what a real raw human, like so much of what we have nowadays is virtual, online. We don't get human interaction as much as we did before all of this technology came into our world. And I just think, like, oh my gosh, that's what we all crave, is just real human interaction. And I just imagine that grandmother there with her daughter and just being able to talk and not rush. And you spent 45 minutes talking to a complete stranger. What a beautiful, beautiful experience you got to have. Something that we talked about on one of our calls that you just mentioned now is having the space to talk about something that's important to you that might not be important to your husband, might not be important to your kids, might not be important to your friends who they seem to have it all together, or they're all organized, or they have their own issues, but this isn't one of their issues. But having the space to talk about something that's important to you, whether that's where to store the silverware or where to store the essential oils, or it's important. So can you talk about that? How just having the freedom to talk about these things that might seem trivial to other people, but are important to you. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it would feel silly if I were to bring up to my friends, like, if I'd say my kitchen isn't functioning as well as it could, I'm not sure where to store the Ziplocs. I feel quite kind of dumb saying that, but having the space with you to talk through whatever space we're working on, the kitchen or whatever, and look at each area that I need to find storage for, and then just processing how it's going to function best was just really, really nice. Because when I went through my kitchen, I do a lot of baking. I love baking. And I had like flour in one pull-out drawer in nice little canisters with labels, and it was all really organized. And then I had my vanilla over here in another cupboard, and I had my baking soda over here in the pantry. And I thought, I got really good at organizing. I always thought I'm really organized, and I'd get all the baskets and all the labels, and it looked really great. But I'd always be like, Elsie, can you go get the vanilla? Samuel, can you go get the baking soda? And then take it all back. And when I had the space and time to sit through to talk through how I wanted it to function, I decided to make this one cupboard with 2 drawers, my baking cupboard. And I got everything in the right place. And so now I just get out my mixer and I open my baking cupboard and it's all right there. And it's every time I use it, I think this is so great. And it probably sounds trivial to a lot of people, but I just think there's so much joy in things just functioning well, things being organized and things flowing and not making things harder than they need to be. So taking the time to actually figure all that out is a really valuable thing for somebody who wants to enjoy their home, who has a busy family life and is trying to juggle a lot of things. I think if you can take the time to do that, it'll really serve you well.
Yes. Well, you are not speaking to people who are going to think what you said is trivial. That's going to resonate with them. And they're going to say, yes, I wish I had somebody to bounce ideas off of, that it didn't feel silly. It felt like they understood and it made sense to them why I need help and why I need to break it all down. So something that is maybe fresh on your mind that I would love for you to share is the project that you just finished, or maybe you're finishing up, is in your son's room. I want you to share with our listeners what that looked like before you got started. Not necessarily his room, but before we moved on to this project, we did a coaching call. And for each coaching call, you like me to talk with you through it. You send me pictures, like kind of just tell me how it felt, what we did, what clarity it brought you, kind of the process that we went through for each room. What did that look like? Let's just start with his room. Describe what that looked like last week when we did our call.
Okay, so our oldest son's bedroom, it used to be Phil and I's bedroom before we converted our loft and made the attic space our bedroom. So there's 2 wardrobes in there. Now, wardrobes are closets because we don't have built-in closets like you would in the US. So kind of a standalone closet thing. So anyway, we had 2 wardrobes in there. One was his stuff and one was kind of our family stuff. It was kind of like photos and sentimental things, dresses, suits, that kind of thing, wetsuits. And then there were things of ours under the bed. And when I thought about the project, I thought, I was overwhelmed because I thought we've got all of his stuff in there, and then we've got all of our stuff that we're storing in there. And I just sent Lisa the photos. We broke down the different areas, and she said, like for photos and sentimental items and cards and stuff, that's a whole different category on its own. Like, we need to separate that. So that kind of gave me permission to just go in there and do the clothes and stuff in the wardrobe and the stuff under the bed. And I just put my mind to it last Thursday, and I just went in there and spent about 4 hours, and I was done. I had a pile to take to the charity shop, and I had a pile to sell, and then I organized and cleaned the stuff that was left. And now I opened the cupboard and I'm like, this is great. Like, it functions really well.
Yeah.
It's no longer like this heavy weight on my mind.
Yeah. What made you feel stuck before you had to go in and do a project? What kept you from actually doing it to where you needed the breakdown? Like, okay, step by step. Like, so what were some of your thoughts? Was it you didn't know what to do? Was it fear of letting go of something that might be important? Was it you didn't know how that you were going to start this project and then maybe you had to take breaks? Like, what were some of the initial thoughts that kept you stuck from even getting started or initiating that project?
I think it just felt like too big of a project. So I felt like I didn't have the time, or I couldn't spend enough time to get it finished. So then it kept me from ever getting started. So if we had a big area, you would say, okay, we're only going to focus on this area this week. So I want you to get this area done. I want you to send me photos and show me your progress. And I knew that like I paid money for this. So if I get to the next session and I haven't done that area, well, I wasted my money and my time.
Exactly.
So it was kind of like, it was a deadline that I had to
Yeah.
meet. And,
Yeah.
and also my husband would joke and say like, I call Lisa my clutter coach. And we laugh about that. And he says like, why do you need a clutter coach? Like, just get rid of, I would just get rid of everything is what he would say. And I said, but it's so much more than that. It's not just about getting rid of everything. Like I can get rid of the stuff that's easy to get rid of, but it's all the processing and the thinking that goes along with it that you have to have help with. And so when I went through the clothes under our bed, I told him that I'd done that. And he said to me, you just seem lighter. You just seem more at peace. And I was like, see the impact that this whole process can have on a person. It's not just about the stuff, it's about all the memories and all the feelings that come with the stuff.
Yes.
So
but it's also
it feels so big that you can't get started, but having those, breaking things down to smaller projects really helped. And also, he would say, did you send Lisa a picture of that area? And I'm like, yep. Full exposure. Like I have to show her things as bad as they are in order to be able to talk through and get the help that I need in order to change it. So I had to make myself really vulnerable and
absolutely. Absolutely. It's like going to the doctor and not really telling him the bad things that you've been doing. It's like if we want true change, we have to be vulnerable. We have to expose it. And that's what I will tell people on our initial consultation. I say, okay, or actually our first coaching call, I'll say, okay, we're going to do a home tour, but I don't want you to clean up as if a guest is coming over. Okay. We have our daily life and what home looks like for the daily, but then we have a home of what it looks like when guests come over. Right. And so I tell people, don't clean up as if a guest is coming over, because I want to see what your life looks like on a daily basis, because if I don't see the problems, then I don't know what to help you with. And so something that I also say is your mess is not my mess. So I'm not ashamed by things. I don't judge it. It's like and sometimes people will show me things and I'm like, this doesn't look that bad. And they're like, but it is bad to me. Yes. And so a lot of people, they just have a hard time with the task initiation, just getting it started, knowing, and like you said, having a deadline. When it comes to our homes, it's like the one place that we don't have deadlines for. We can hide stuff, we can close doors. That's why I say, if you want to get your house cleaned fast, invite somebody over, because then you will have a deadline to tidy up. So it's really doing something like this kind of forces your hand. You have invested the money, yes. But then it's also, you don't want to disappoint yourself. You don't want to disappoint this person that you have committed to. You said, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it by this time. I'm going to you're going to hold me accountable, and I have to have it done by that time. This has all been so great, Christina, and I have enjoyed working with you. So if you could say one more thing to someone who was in your position and they are thinking about getting some help, or they want to make change in their home, they're overwhelmed by it, what would you say to that person if they're listening to your story and they resonate with your story so much? What would you say to that person? Maybe some encouragement, some advice. What would you say?
I would just say, take that next step to getting a little help. It's quite a big deal to admit that you need a little help and to take that step. But I think especially as women, we have these little voices, like, these little whispers in our head, and we can often feel overwhelmed or guilty or inadequate or whatever. And sometimes we just need a little support, like unpicking that and tackling whatever it is that's going through her head. And to be able to just put your hand up and say, yeah, I need to find somebody to help me with this is really empowering. And it can just make life easier once you do that. It just takes a huge weight off your shoulders.
Absolutely. I love what you said, raising your hand and saying, me, I need the help. I think about recently, I have had some piriformis pain, your glute pain, lower back, psoas muscle. And I went to a massage therapist and I raised my hand and I said, help me, I need help. And it was something that I couldn't do on my own. And I needed that. I needed to set the appointment. I needed to get her help for this struggle, for this issue I'm struggling with. But like you said, I feel like as women, we are supposed to have it all together. We're supposed to just have this natural instinct of knowing how to mother, knowing how to manage a home. And like your husband said, he's like, why can't you just, like, I don't get it. Why can't you just throw it all away? And you mentioned the emotional attachment, the, not knowing if you need it later on. And I think as women, we also have this innate sense of caring for our family. So we're not just looking at this thing as an object, we're looking at it as how it can care for our family. I feel like women are very, very selfless. We are always thinking about the people we care for. So not only are we thinking about this item, if we like it or not, we're thinking about, do I need this item to care for our family? We are nurturers, we are caregivers. So we're not just thinking like through our own mind, we're also thinking through the eyes of your daughter, your two sons, your husband, whether they need it or not. So there's a lot that goes into that. And so women are very, very complex creatures. We are thinking a lot. So if we raise our hands sometimes and we say, yes, I need help in this area that might seem trivial to you, but it's important to me, yes, it is going to benefit your life so much. I mean, I know you're in your 40s. I'm in my 40s. I'm going to say we're going to live to be 100. So say we have 60 years left this life. I would like to spend those last 60 years not overwhelmed by the environment of my home, right? It is not too late. I don't deserve to wake up to dirty dishes tomorrow. I deserve to wake up to a clean kitchen. That is something I deserve. And I feel like we need to accept that. We deserve to have homes that are enjoyable, like you said. Like I heard you say in this interview, I enjoy my home. I love that. There are so many women that struggle right now with not enjoying their home. And I want to bring that joy back to us. We deserve to be joyful caretakers of our home, homemakers of our home. I love that word, homemaker. I am a maker of my home, not just a stay-at-home mom. I am a homemaker. I am the one making the home. I am the one making the memories and the opportunities in my home. So I love that. Well, thank you so much, Christina, for being vulnerable, for sharing your story, and for trusting me. Thank you so much for trusting me to walk with you through this journey together.
Absolutely. And I just want to add that it's not just about us, but me investing my time and money in this now is going to impact my kids, because they're going to observe what I'm doing, and I'm going to be better equipped to be able to kind of coach them and help them as they set up their homes and their families. And so I think it's a skill set that people need to be taught, how to manage our homes in a way that's not, anyone can move into a home and sort of manage it. But if we put in the time and effort, we can really make it function the way we want it to function. Like, we have choices we can make, and we can learn to love our home. So
absolutely. Yeah, I love what you said. I love what you said. You are building a legacy for your kids. And I don't think that legacy can be learned from a book. I truly don't. I don't believe it can be learned from a standalone course. I truly believe in the relationship. When we were in ministry, we used to say life happens over the kitchen table, or like
Mhm.
across the kitchen table. Like
Right.
my husband was a youth pastor, and he would get up on Wednesday nights and preach to the youth. But that's not where life happened. That's not where transformation happened. Transformation happens when we're sitting across from each other. We're sharing life. We're bouncing ideas. We're sharing struggles. We're crying together. There's been some tears. We are crying together. That's when community and life happens and transformation happens. So like you said, you're going to take what you've learned with me, with our time together, and you're going to be able to share that with your kids. You're going to share that with your daughters-in-law one day, and your daughter and their husbands. And not that you have it perfect, but you're able to be open to communication with them and say, hey, I struggle too. This is what I did. Maybe it'll work for you too. Let's give it a try. And then you follow up with them. You know what follow-up looks like and how beneficial it is. So the next week when you visit your daughter and your grandkids, you say, how is that laundry system going for you? And if she says, I'm struggling with it, you say, okay, let's reset all your laundry. Let's work together to do that. Now let's create the schedule for it. So I love that so much. And I love that you brought that to the end of our conversation, because that truly is the ultimate gift that we give ourselves and that we give future generations to come. Thank you so much. And now we're going to hop off and do a quick little follow-up. And thank y'all so much for listening. And I will see you right here next time on the Habits and Home Show. Hey friend, before you go, I wanted to tell you more about the Accountability Club. Each month, we'll tackle a new space in our homes and work together to declutter and set up systems so we can easily maintain order without getting overwhelmed. You'll get a new decluttering tutorial each month, the coaching and accountability you need to actually follow through, and encouragement without judgment from other Christian moms in a safe environment. And guess what? The entire club is off of social media, so you don't have to worry about distractions the world may throw at you. Sweet friend, if you're feeling stuck in your decluttering journey, this is the place for you. Click the link below to try out the Accountability Club and start decluttering today.